That was in the first practice session, but then disaster in practice session number 2 for Mike.
Just a horrendous crash. He is not on the line here today.
Man, a heartbreaker. Let's go racing here, Moto 2. Ryan Villopoto's got the start this time on the Monster Energy Kawasaki, but there's Dungey right with him. Mike Brown, number 3, is 3rd. For how long, though? He's got Windham all over it.
And your top 3 have now gated. 1, 2, and 3, followed by Windham is in there. Look at this, a 3-way battle.
Woo! Yeah, Reed got around Brown, and now he's going after Villopoto, and Dungey takes the lead. 3 championship favorites in the same corner at the same time, and Villopoto gets it back. What racing right out of the gate here, Jeff. Well, they're not waiting around in this one.
Yeah, and this track has changed so much from the 250 Moto and the women's Moto that was that has been in between their first Moto and now. And these riders are getting they had a parade lap, but now they get a chance to race it at speed. And they're finding out that these holes and all these bumps are much bigger than Moto 2. And look at Villopoto just weaving his way down the hill.
Windham has gotten around Reed, sorry, and then Reed's trying to get him back. So we got action all over the place. Dungey and Villopoto leaning on each other for 1st and 2nd. Windham and Reed for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, and the thing about the track now is it's really inconsistent on where the water and the moisture is versus where it's not. You see light sections and dark sections. Where it's dark is where it's wet. And so you go from these dry sections where the traction to be good, and then you hit a wet section, and you lose the traction. So the track, see right there in those wet sections everywhere, that is really slippery. But by the end of the Moto, those sections might dry up and become the best line.
So Windham still in 4th, right behind Reed. And we've been waiting years to see these 2 riders up front hook it up, Dungey and Villopoto. What do you got on Kevin Windham there, Aaron?
Well, guys, when I spoke with the team manager, Eric Kehoe, in between motos, they told me that they had a problem develop with the bike mechanically during that Moto.
Ah, okay, so that might be the issue there for Windham. We were thinking, hey, he hasn't been on the bike in 2 weeks after a crash at the last Supercross race in Vegas. Apparently it wasn't a physical issue. He's strong.
Yeah, it's not that he's just getting old or anything of the sort. He is 33 years young, and he is out there hammering it. I mean, such an impressive ride just all the way through. And when the track gets really rough like this is when you see Kevin Windham's technique and his style really shine. And that's what's given him the longevity in the sport and to be at the top level for so long is he does it really through his style and his technique. I mean, it's one to be duplicated.
Still, Villopoto over Dungey and Reed, 1, 2, 3, then Windham. And let's give a call to the 5th place rider, Jake Weimer, who finished 21st in the first Moto earlier today. Huge disappointment for him, but he is up in the top 5 early in Moto 2. And you'll see some hints of that green fender behind Windham on a couple of these longer sections. Jeff, we're going to show you the whole shot here, and you can take us through it, our progressive whole shot replay.
Well, look for the green front fender. Look at Villopoto on the 450 Cowie. Out of the gate, he's solid, and he is grabbing gears so fast. He actually stood up on the pegs to put more weight on the rear tire so that the tire of that Cowie just dug in. That's like 125 technique where you're trying to just manual it. But he made it happen, and so far this second Moto, he is out front dominating it. But telling you what, the reigning champion, he looked pretty good in the first Moto. Fitness is definitely there for both these riders.
Yeah, the 125, that's the old little 2-stroke bikes. These are big 450cc monsters, but
yeah,
put that power to the ground.
The piston diameter on the 2 bikes I was comparing is only like 2 inches difference.
Yeah, massive difference in power, but he's riding it like a small bike. But Dungey trying to hang with him. In Moto 1, Villopoto was pretty strong early, past Chad Reed to get up front, but then wasn't quite as strong toward the end of the Moto. We have heard that he is a little bit under the weather, and he also told us on the podium he really has not raced motocross in 2 years. Injuries took him out in both 09 and 2010. But the way he's riding early in this second Moto, you would think he's in full mid-season form right now. Battle is on here at Hangtown. Ryan Villopoto continues to lead. Ryan Dungey, Lucas Oyeleme, Pro Motocross Championship from Northern California's Hangtown. Been racing here for 43 years. This championship tour is celebrating a 40th anniversary, so this track has been racing big events 3 years before this series even began. Villopoto, Dungey, and this rider in 3rd, Chad Reed, looking to add their names to the record books here.
Jason, as rough as this track is at this moment, and as deep as these ruts are, and as physically demanding, you would think that they haven't prepped the track since then.
Woo. But this is a great battle right here. You got on this rough track Weimer, Millsaps, Metcalf, and Andrew Short, who just squeezed it past Metcalf. Short on the 29-yard bike, trying to go around Millsaps.
You might have him here. No, Millsap's back around. This is a really tight section for these 450s to maneuver through.
And Short, who's on a 350 in the 450 class.
Maybe that's the difference there.
He was strong in that tight section for sure. Can he get Millsaps? He's going to go after him again. And this time, Short has positioned himself on the inside. And it works. He gets Millsaps.
I'm telling you, those braking bumps like there are so treacherous because you're coming down and you're on the throttle and then you have to get on the brakes and the bike starts to bottom out, and that's where all the chassis and suspension testing and having the best stuff really makes a difference, because you make one small mistake and you get the wrong bounce, you can just be off the track right there. There's just so much inertia.
Sorry to cut you off, but he's going after Millsaps. Millsaps made a little mistake, and Metcalf makes the move. Now, here's the keys to the race for Medi, who was strong in Moto 1.
Yeah, it was one thing that I thought they really needed to do was get up to speed early. You know, he didn't finish out the Moto quite like he started the Moto, but is doing that. And whether he's been off the bike or not, and he's in, you know, that quote bike shape that I call it, it really doesn't matter. It's that, you know, he is physically fit. He trains as hard as anyone out there. So to trust that and believe that even though you've been off the bike, that you have what it takes to finish out both these motos.
Back to our leader, Ryan Villopoto, with Dungey trying to chase him down. Give you an idea of the gap here in just a minute. And it's not very much. In fact, Dungey has refired, and 10 minutes into this race has put another challenge to the number 2 on the inside. Big jump coming up here. Right. Dungey able to stay a little lower.
And look at how Ryan Dungey looks really confident. He's riding with ease. He doesn't look like he's riding out of his zone at all. Okay, so it looks like he's totally in control, and he believes that he's got the lines, the fitness, the speed, everything that it's going to take to get past the number 2.
Man, he's keeping the heat on him, and Chad Reed is right there in third. If these two take any time away from each other battling for the lead, Reed will be happy to take advantage. What a race.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do. When you see a guy kind of starting to back up on his heels a little bit, you know, you got to go for it. You got to get after it right now, and then that mentally, that takes its toll. Now, obviously, Ryan Villopoto has ridden in some of the most pressure-packed championship battles that I've ever witnessed. 2000 250 motocross comes to mind, him and Ben Townley, and he was able to withstand it. So let's see if he can counteract this big charge here that Dungey and Chad Reed are throwing on him right now.
You got to mention Reed. In fact, he might be the fastest rider of this trio. He has closed up a ton of room on Dungey in the last couple of corners, and Dungey's got to worry about him.
Well, and all three riders are basically running about a 2:16, and the next fastest is Windham at a 2:19. So the top three are 3 seconds a lap ahead of the rest of the field. They really have stepped it up.
Dungey still working some different lines. Looking at him on the inside as Villopoto runs the outside. And Reed just sit back there watching it.
And it's right through this half of the course where I believe Dungey really has got the fast lines, especially as you come around the finish line first turn area where he got up close to Villopoto last lap around. See how he's just apexing his turns? He's being very patient right now. He's not trying to blast the outsides or do anything crazy. He's just being very consistent and strong right now.
Big crowd out here at Hangtown. Got what they wanted to see. After the battle in Supercross the last couple of months, you knew that Villopoto, Dungey, and Reed would be flying here in Motocross, and that's exactly what we've got. This is the section you like Dungey through here.
Let's see if he can hold the inside. No, he goes back to the outside, kind of squaring it up. See the riders zigzagging back and forth across the apex of the turns. Now the momentum for the number 1.
Dungey on the outside. They swap spots from where they were 1 lap ago, and Villopoto grabs a handful of throttle and gets it back.
Villopoto just holds it on a little longer going into that turn. And if you're Villopoto and you're under this sort of pressure, you're trying to pressure the guy behind you from in front. So right then it was time to step it up.
Wow.
Really putting it on. Nice move.
Those guys are able to think of all that while they're pushing the pace like this. What a great race. Villopoto continues to lead Dungey, and Reed keeping the heat on. Oh, and Dungey and Chad Reed going after your leader, Ryan Villopoto. Great racing here at Hangtown. And somehow Villopoto has survived another charge. Dungey's got to be careful. The 22 of Reed is right behind him. Now Dungey to the inside. Dungey's going to try to set up Villopoto. I haven't seen anyone run inside where Dungey just went. Wasn't able to make the pass.
Trying to ride the short line, Jason. Let's see if he switches it up here to the inside. Dungey.
Can he make it happen? Completely different line to this corner. Side by side. Dungey overjumps on the outside, and Villopoto's going to beat him in the spot. Tremendous riding under pressure for Villopoto on the number 2. Dungey giving him everything he's got.
Chad Reed just lurking from behind, trying some new lines, just waiting for a mistake out of your 2 leaders.
Incredible battle here. Fans going crazy. You got to give credit for how the track has developed. They can go anywhere they want and stay side by side, challenge each other. Look at this battle.
Here we go. This is the section of the track. Dungey really has some lines where he can set Villopoto up, but Villopoto has held steady.
Will Dungey back it in this corner? This is where he made the pass for the lead on Windham in Moto 1. Villopoto has it covered. This next section, they've been side by side over this jump coming up. The last 2 laps in a row. Here we go again. Dungey grabs the lead. Villopoto this time not able to respond, and Ryan Dungey has done it the hard way. He absorbed roost and rocks for 3 laps. Here comes Villopoto to try to return.
Wow, no. I'm telling you, what a hot line. And I thought Dungey was going to try to cut down, but he continued that momentum around the second turn. And I'm telling you, his bike tracked through that section. The rear wheel never slipped out, and he was on the throttle the whole time. Made the pass stick, and now Villopoto has to worry about Chad Reed, number 22 here on this red Honda.
Now, Reed, by the way, in a press conference on Thursday, alluded to the fact that he and Villopoto are basically new to this tour. Villopoto didn't race it last year due to injury, and Reed was on a Kawasaki last year, so they are basically starting from scratch, whereas Dungey would have some notes to go back from last year. He could start with his championship-winning setup. True. He said that might give Dungey an advantage, but I'll tell you what, it worked out about exactly the same at this point in the Moto.
I'll tell you, let's see just how deep Villopoto can dig right here and see if he can rebound from this, because this is the type of time when you start to lose your rhythm and mentally get a little bit frazzled, and all of a sudden you start hitting every bump on the track.
Whoa, Reed's getting close on the inside. Can he squeeze Villopoto? Yes. Chad Reed to the number 2 spot, and I guarantee you he's not done there. He wants to race Dungey. If Reed wins this Moto, he wins the overall for the day. Villopoto would need to win and have Dungey finish 3rd. We'll worry about the math later. Let's just sit back and watch. This is tremendous racing between 3 of the fastest riders, really, that have ever contested for this championship. These guys have all won titles before at this level.
Wow, and the roost that they're having to take on from the bikes when you're getting close to the other riders and you're trying to zigzag through the lines and stay out of the roost, but at times you got to just man up and stay in it. I mean, that roost hurts so bad. Okay, practically can blow you off the back of the bike.
Reed did win this race last year. You see the graphic. While Dungey had a terrible race at Hangtown, struggled to even get into the top 5. He was kind of dealing with the jitters after just locking up a Supercross title a year ago. Seems like Villopoto's in the same situation today.
Well, what's interesting, though, about when you look at the history here is that Dungey won this championship last year. He ended the season on a high note. Chad Reed raced at Kawasaki at this event and won here last year, so Kawasaki would have notes and everything, all of the information from last season to use moving forward. But tell you what, just the effort that our 2 leaders are putting out right now, that was a really hefty 2 or 3 laps that they pressured Villopoto. Now you see that he's dropped off the pace just a little bit. He had a 2:20 last lap around. Reed and Dungey were both at a 2:16, so that was a 4-second loss for Villopoto.
Well, also we hear Villopoto a little under the weather coming into this one, dealing with a little bit of a cold or maybe even the flu, and maybe that's having an effect. But how about this? Reed coming after Dungey. He wants the lead. And if you're Dungey, you run down Ryan Villopoto to get the lead in the Moto. You figure your work is done, but how about this? He's got an even faster rider to deal with right now. They've left Villopoto behind.
Well, look at the thousands of fans here. They're just, you know, on their tiptoes right now at the front of the fence, just cheering on their favorite rider.
Whoa, little mistake by Dungey. Reed was able to see that.
Hey, this track, Jason, brutal right now.
Yeah.
They make it look easy, but it's so physically demanding. Look at the back of the Rockstar Kita Suzuki. They're bouncing out of the line, and your core strength, your legs, and upper body strength, your arms, your delts, everything have to be so physically fit and just have brute strength. Even though most motocross athletes are built more like the endurance athletes, like a bicycle rider or a runner for the most part, but incredibly strong in the package that they have.
Oh, Reed's strong. He's on the inside. This is the line that Dungey liked to use to make passes, and now Reed is going to try to use it against him.
He's got it.
I think he does. Chad Reed has taken over the lead from Ryan Dungey. Incredible. Now Dungey, this is the section he likes. This is where he passed Villopoto a few laps ago. But Reed went to school back there. He knows exactly where Dungey wants to go, and he covers it.
Did you see that? How he landed off that big jump, and he did a wheelie tap through the braking bumps and kept his momentum, and it was very methodical how he got through that to keep his momentum into that turn.
Well, unbelievable. Chad Reed has come out here and passed Villopoto. He's passed Dungey. He's in the lead. Amazing ride for the Australian. It's been a torrid battle in this second moto. Ryan Villopoto, Ryan Dungey, now Chad Reed leading the way. Amazing performance by Reed to come through that pack.
Yeah, you're looking at a motocross warrior at this point. I'm telling you, to be out there to maneuver this track and to do what they're doing, it's exceptional talent, dedication, all that. You see, here comes Villopoto, who had the lead early on, now has fallen off the pace by about 16 seconds. Reed just turned to 2:15.4 and Dungey at 2:18.4. So Reed still up to pace. Dungey, Villopoto are really starting to fall off.
But they do have a big gap over fourth place Kevin Windham. And you saw the rest of the crew come through. You have Weimer, Metcalf, Hahn, Millsap, Short, Ricky Dietrich in the top 10. But this is an idea of the gap as we wait for the rest of the field to come through. Those are riders that are lapped down. Kyle Partridge on the 76. This Kawasaki is Weimer. That's your fifth place guy. So that gives you an idea of the gap as Metcalf chases him. Yeah, that shows you how hard Reed is pushing up front. He's got a huge lead.
Yeah, and Reed's about 45 seconds ahead of Weimer and Metcalf at this point. I mean, and that, we still have 8 minutes to go, so that's in 22 minutes. I mean, I didn't expect Chad Reed to be this good. I expected him to be great, all that sort of stuff. But this second moto, he has stepped up, showed some incredible heart and determination. It's pretty cool for a rider that at one time chose not to race the AMA Motocross Championship. 2009 decided, you know what, I'm going to give this thing a go. Came back and won the 450 title. Won races last year, went out with an illness, and now he's back in 2011. Wow.
Let's talk about these two as Metcalf puts the pressure on Weimer. Talk about the keys of the race again for Metcalf. Is he doing what he needs to do?
He was up to speed early, put some good laps in there, and got the start to put him in a good position here. And this is where he's really going to have to trust his fitness. Right here, he's going after Weimer.
And he's got this line. This is where Reed was coming after Dungey, and I think Metcalf has made it happen. Yes. Weimer's going to go to the outside, so he can't get him back.
And of all the factory stars that are out there, these two factory riders have had the least amount of time to prepare.
Weimer does come back on Metcalf. He just waited to the next section. Gets it back. But yeah, good point, Jeff. Both these guys missed a lot of time in Supercross with injury. Are they racing their way back into shape?
There's no other way to do it. The race is here. No more time to prepare.
Okay, so that is your battle for 5th and 6th team. Weimer and Metcalf just duking it out. Next battle is going to be a couple of Yamahas. It's the Moto Concepts Yamaha of Tommy Hahn and the Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha Joe Gibbs Racing of the 18 Davey Millsap. So that is 7th and 8th. Ricky Dietrich, guy used to race off-road, is switching to motocross, doing well. He's in 9th. Christian Craig rounds out the top 10, and no sign of Christophe Pourcel. We see he's in 15th place, and Pourcel strong early in the first moto, but wasn't able to maintain that pace. Look at this battle between Hahn and Millsap.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with both of these riders here today. They put on strong rides, and still with a little less than 6 minutes plus 2 laps to go, anybody in the top 5 or top 6 there starts to slip up or drop their lap time, these guys are going to be right there because they're still strong at this point of the moto.
Next rider on the list here, this is Ricky Dietrich, the guy who raced off-road, you know, ISDE, a Work Series, GNCC, Endurocross, you name it. But a couple of years ago when Ryan Villopoto was injured, he was a Kawasaki rider off-road, and Kawasaki said, we'll let you ride Villopoto's bike in motocross. He grabbed a couple of top 5 finishes, and ever since then, he has wanted his way back into this series. So he's picked up a ride with Valley Motorsports Yamaha, and he's going to see what he can do with a full season in motocross, and not bad, top 10.
He's their top rider right now.
A little bit further back, Christian Craig, great story here. The son of Mike Craig, who was a factory rider back in the 1990s. Second generation man, and Kyle Chisholm, who was injured through most of Supercross, is right behind him. So Craig is 10th, and Chisholm is 11th. And Chisholm is, that was a vicious crash he had back in Houston a few months ago. So good to see him battling for a top 10 after being out with injury. And what about this guy, Mike Brown, the 2001 125 champ. Aaron, let's talk about Brownie.
It's always good to see his smiling face back here, but Mike Brown said he's going to race probably 3 different races, all for the fact that he wants to keep that national number, the number 3. So he does have to score 25 points. Today is off to a good start.
Yeah, Brown 10 years ago won the 125 class, which is now the 250 class, and that's why he has that single-digit number as a past national champ. Hey, look what we found. The Australian Michael Byrne and the Frenchman Christophe Pourcel. So Pourcel, probably not where he wants to be today, but he is looking to make a move on Byrne, and he gets it done. The Pourcel, I'm sure, would like to be battling up front with guys like Dungey and Villopoto, who he's battled in years past on a 250, but it's been a while since Pourcel's been out the racetrack.
Yeah, and I mean, he's going to have to adapt not only to the 450, but as everybody knows, the Yamaha 450 is quite a bit different machine than the other bikes that are out there, and so they say that it has a different feel, but guys like Nick Way have totally adapted to it on the Valley Motorsports Yamaha. Yeah, you saw way back in the 27. That's a great battle just outside of the top 10, but they're all chasing this guy, Chad Reed, leading the way late here at Hangtown. But your defending series champ is back. Leads only about 2 seconds. He's coming. Last lap around, he was just a couple tenths of a second faster than Reed, and you can see that he is really putting on the charge right now. And the tiny little mistakes right there that Reed made, the little huckabuck he had getting into that turn, is what's going to cost him. Hey, we have a minute and a half. They're probably going to make it around to the start-finish line about that same time. So it may be close that this is a 2 or 3 lap longer race here.
Hey, I'm just pumped we got Huckabuck here. Okay, we're good. Now we got a race in our hands. Look at how much ground Dungey has made up. Now, Reed is one of the more consistent riders, doesn't make massive mistakes out there. And as far as fitness goes, we saw these two battle right down to the wire several times in Supercross this year, including the last race 2 weeks ago in Vegas. Went right down to the last turn. So I don't know how you pick a favorite late with these two. They can both go the distance.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, but what's impressive is that Dungey has been able to regroup and say, okay, I'm not just going to, give this thing to Reed. We're going to race for it. This is for the overall. These guys are all over it right now. The crowd is really starting to get into it here. It's been a long but beautiful day here at Hangtown, and they're being treated to some spectacular motocross racing once again.
And they didn't make it. 22 seconds left on the clock, so the 2-lap board does not come out. We will have 3 laps to go in this race. There's basically an extra lap now for Dungey to try to make things happen on Reed. And look at the lap times. Jeff, tell us the story.
Yeah, Reed slowed down just a little bit. That was a 2:17.1, and Dungey a 2:16.6. So that's half a second that Dungey picked up on Chad Reed. And you can see it whenever they're in the same frame on your TV at home. That means we got some exciting racing coming your way.
It was a 2-horse race now. Villopoto ran a 2:24, 8 seconds slower than Dungey. He's going to just accept third today, but we don't know who is going to take the victory. It's close. Well, they've saved the best for last here at Hangtown. Chad Reed, Ryan Dungey, wheel to wheel with 2.5 laps to go here in the 43rd annual Rockstar Energy Drink Hangtown Classic.
And in an ever-changing track here at Hangtown, it's Ryan Dungey now that has found the hot lines, and he's been able to move around on the track, see where he can pick up some time as these riders are trying to navigate arguably one of the roughest, most physically demanding tracks that I've ever seen here, and it is testing their mental strength, their physical strength. It is just taking it to the limit here. You notice we've got 3 to go. We were so close to hitting the 2-lap board, but there was about 20 seconds left on the 30-minute clock, so it's extended it. So Dungey's got an extra lap.
Yep.
Reed's got an extra lap that he's got to withstand this pressure.
All right, 2-lap board is going to be out right here. Here's your finish line. 2 laps, a shootout. Dungey second, Reed in the lead. Now Reed's got to know what lines Dungey likes. He already caught him and passed him once, but as the track changed so much now that Reed doesn't really know where to cover.
Well, and this is the point here where you really have to, for me, I would be talking to myself, it's basically just your thoughts, but you're going, I can do this, believe in yourself, okay, over this jump. Take a breath right here, release your hands, okay, now down the hill. Okay, focus on what's going on here. Clean through this turn. So all of those thoughts are rolling through your head, and the whole time you're going, you can do this. You've done the work. You've put in the training. Your bike's good enough. Every positive thing that you can think of to run through your mind, that's what you do. You don't want the gremlins to come in and go, oh, my hands are hurting, my shoulders are tired. That's the type of stuff that you try to ward off, and that's all the mental game that you play with yourself and where mental strength comes into play.
Well, it sounds to me, Jeff, that Reed's goal is to not think about where Dungey is. Don't think about the line. Just, as they say, ride your own race.
Yeah, and look what he's done here. Dungey made a couple of little mistakes. We heard the crowd go wild there. Might have slipped around in one of those turns, but a little bit of breathing room. But right here, it's all about, okay, hold the throttle on, get on the brakes, right here, okay, take a breath, downshift, whatever the case is. And this is why these guys are the best in the world. There's no doubt about it.
But look at that, quadding that section. 4 jumps in 1.
Yeah, Jason, the thing that I'm so proud of Chad Reed is that, like I mentioned earlier, at one time he raced motocross, he had to get raced against Carmichael, and all his success was not there for him. He gave it another shot, and now he is finding success in AMA motocross. And what that does with the fans, I mean, these are the hardcore motocross fans. And when you ride this championship, they absolutely love you. And now he's out front on his way to winning another overall at Hangtown 2 years in a row.
Well, yeah, it sure looks like he has shaken off this offensive by Dungey. He's pulled back away. Very impressive. Last year when Reed won this race, I thought his performance here last year was better than any ride he had even in 09 when he won the championship. Maybe it was the best outdoor performance we'd ever seen from Chad Reed. We'll show you the highlights. Started out with a good start. And basically just dominated this first moto where there was a lot of competition, a lot of talk about who was going to be the man. He established himself early.
Yeah, riding the Monster Energy Kawasaki, everything was good. Everything was on schedule here, but unfortunately the rest of the series didn't go that same way as it continued on. But what a way to pick up 2-2 Motorsports. They're not even supposed to be here.
No. We'll tell this story again. Reed was on the verge of retirement in the offseason. Could not get a ride at any of the established factory teams. Decided to dig into his own pocket, start a team. The sponsors eventually came, but I'll tell you what, the only reason Reed is out here is because he wants to be out here. He's not doing it for the dough anymore. That's the old days.
Well, baby needs a new pair of shoes, right? Tate's getting bigger. It ain't going to be any cheaper, but
he's got plenty to pay for
like
that.
I said, it's his attitude, and he had people that believed in him. You've got Bel-Ray that came on board, Shift, Fox, Pro Circuit has been helping him out all the way through this, and sponsors like Alpine Star that have stuck with him through this whole thing, and all of a sudden you've got a veteran, and I can relate to it from when I started my own team at the end of my career. It was a shift. It was a shift in your attitude, and attitude is everything, right?
Right.
And right now, Chad Reed has got the right attitude, and the fans absolutely love it.
Well, we asked Reed a couple of days ago, with finances being tight, you're the boss of yourself. You don't have to go put yourself through this. You might not even make any money doing it. And he said, I'm here because I enjoy it. I like the people I'm working with. It's fun. And I think you're right. When you're having a good time like this, you ride well.
Now he's taking a look back 2 or 3 times just to make sure. Wait a second. Where is Dungey at? Because he was breathing down my neck. Now, where is he at? So he felt comfortable enough and was, his awareness for his surroundings, knew that he wasn't right behind him. But let me figure out just what's happened to him. What a moment, though, for 2-2 Motorsports.
Unbelievable.
Once again, like I said, what a crew they put together.
Yeah, and what I was getting at was I thought his performance last year at Hangtown was better than anything we saw in his championship year in 09, and I think you could argue this ride is even better than that because he came through Villopoto, he came through Dungey. This is the old finish line jump. Got to stay in the gas a little bit here, Chad. Here's his mechanic, Lars. I think that says it all. This guy is doing it, heart and soul.
This ain't going to be a fast lap time, but it doesn't matter because he's your winner.
Chad Reed wins Hangtown for the 2nd year in a row. This year doing it on his own terms and beating the best of the best. He takes down Villopoto. He takes down Dungey, who finishes second. What a ride for the 2-2.
Hey, I'm telling you, still a great ride for Dungey. A 1-2 on the day. We have a tie for the points lead in AMA Motocross to start the championship.
Now, a little bit subpar based on the fact that he's won so many races outdoors before and is your new Supercross champion, Ryan Villopoto. However, it's a work in progress. And remember, Ryan Dungey was much worse than this last year at Hangtown and came on to win the championship. So you can start off with a 3-3 and easily come back and win the title.
Hey, still for Villopoto, this is a solid foundation. If anybody knew the amount of media obligations and everything that would have came his way the last couple weeks, I mean, he's got to just be exhausted coming into this event.
Yeah, and a little bit sick as well. Solid points for Villopoto. He will take third, but Chad Reed is the man today at Hangtown, and we will talk to him on the podium next.